My name is Benton Stokes. I'm a former fundamentalist, post-evangelical worship leader, and songwriter. I enjoy rye Manhattans, roller coasters, and road trips, just not all at the same time.
I'm Elaine O'Rourke, and I'm a teacher, an author, and a spiritual coach. I was a philosophy professor and a liberal pastor in a couple of former lives, and these days I love aha moments and not-so-dry martinis.
We have conversations about life and God with a queer perspective, over cocktails, like you. This is Cocktail Theology. Well, today we are continuing our parade of classic cocktails. Today we are enjoying sidecars.
Yes, we are.
The sidecar has become one of my favorite cocktails. I was playing around with sidecars back last fall for our Thanksgiving cocktail. And I have a souped-up version that I make. But this one is just the classic. It's simply cognac. It's an orange liqueur, so it can be triple sec. In our case, we had the Calieres French triple sec.
How do you pronounce it?
Cointreau or Grand Marnier would work.
Yep.
And then it uses lemon juice.
But it can't be too sweet. The orange, you can't use like triple sec, like sweet triple sec,
Yeah.
right? Because it would really throw it.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah. This French triple sec that we've been using for a while is not super, super sweet.
Right.
Which makes this...
Yeah, no, this is tasty.
Really drinkable. Yeah, cognac has been
You've
an
been
interesting
loving it.
spirit. Yeah, that I've
You've
been
been
playing
loving
around with a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I would never have started making drinks with cognac if you hadn't started making drinks with cognac.
Yeah,
it would just never have happened. So it's cool.
Yeah,
I'm learning
it's all right.
things. I love learning things.
I love learning things too. So today we are talking about doubt. Doubt, one of those things that you can't live with and you can't live without.
Is this going to be a song lyric? Is that what I'm hearing now? I am hearing the next song lyric coming
Yeah,
up.
I'm pretty sure it's in a Broadway musical. Like from I don't know. Anyway, but so doubt is one of those things that, depending on what stripe of Christianity you are a part of, doubt can be, discouraged or frowned upon or reason for alarm. In my own experience, probably wasn't until I started to explore my sexuality that I started to doubt some of the things that I had been taught.
Okay.
I don't think I ever doubted God. Like, I don't think I ever doubted certainly God's existence or God's involvement in my life or God's love for me. But there were plenty of times when I've doubted myself in regards to, am I a good Christian? Am I a good person? And then certainly my belief system kind of got shaken a lot during that exploration of sexuality and identity and all of that happened after I was an adult. So my experience with doubt has really kind of been mild compared to many people that I know that have really wrestled with doubt. But I do think that doubt is a very healthy part of a faith life. I think it's normal and perfectly fine to doubt. I've often heard, God can handle our doubts, God can handle our questions, God can handle our anger, God can handle all of that. We don't have to be pious little cherubs all the time. And just really...
Because really, I have never been cherubic.
No.
Not even once.
No. But doubt is a very real part of a spiritual experience.
Once you have a sip of your cocktail, I want to know what you mean when you say doubt.
Well, I don't believe that doubt is the opposite of faith. I think I used to believe that. Like if you had doubts and questions, that meant that you weren't trusting right or trusting enough or weren't faithful enough.
Okay.
But I now understand that living in faith means living with unknowns and living with mystery.
Yes.
So I guess when you think about it that way, the opposite of faith isn't doubt, but it's more like certainty. It's more like having to know everything. That's the problem that you run into.
Yep.
So
that's exactly what I was going to say.
So doubt and faith, I have learned can coexist.
Okay.
And probably should coexist.
Okay. So I would want to make a distinction between doubt and questioning. It may be just a function of attitude. I know that as you were growing up, and certainly other people I've talked to, some of the people I've counseled, grew up with that idea that doubt was a negative. Like it was a moral setback. It was in itself a problem.
Right.
Okay. So I'm trying to figure out what the difference between doubt and questioning is. I would say in general, we encourage people to be questioning in the sense of, what will make my tomatoes grow better? Let me go find out, right? We don't mind the questioning per se. I think there's a notion that if questioning is going to lead you in a direction I don't want you to go, then you're doubting as opposed to questioning.
Yeah, there you go.
Like there's something in it that just feels inherently the wrong way.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Or if not the wrong way, then certainly a negative thing. The word itself has a negative connotation.
It does.
If I'm talking about trust, right? And I'm talking about if I trust someone or not. And if the person lost my trust, I would say something like, well, I have doubts about this person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I would never say, I'm questioning about this person.
Right.
Right. So I think that the language of doubt automatically tells you what somebody thinks about the thing. So there's that. I'm so glad you mentioned, that the opposite of faith is not doubt, it's certainty. I'm so glad you mentioned that because I've been thinking about that one a lot lately. The problem with doubt in the culture in which you grew up is that it values certainty. It values unwavering allegiance to whatever the thing is.
Absolutely.
Whether it is to whatever version of my country they mean, or version of science, or version of whether you wear white after Labor Day. It doesn't matter, right? But whatever that thing is, when you question that, you're not really questioning the idea, you're questioning their authority, and nobody likes their authority questioned.
Nobody likes that, right.
So that whole idea that you shouldn't question comes out of a fear. It's not about your faith. It's about the fear that you will question yourself right out of trusting that authority.
Yeah. Right. And other people then in that circle, whatever the circle is, are threatened by your questions.
That's right. That's right. Because once you start teasing at the edges of things, they will fray. Now, you may wind up sewing them back together, and that's all great. Right? But people who want a tightly woven fabric of understanding and belief, once you start questioning, that weave becomes looser.
It does.
And for those of us who don't like a tight sweater, that's really helpful. The fact that it's looser allows us to trust more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I was out of the church, as they say. I was out of the church for many, many years. And there were times I questioned whether God existed. But I never questioned whether God, if God existed, was good.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay? There was something about my understanding of what it means to be God that had an essential, if nothing else, neutrality. But more likely, goodness. Now, whether there was a personified goodness that I could then point to and call God, I wasn't sure about that part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? But I've doubted people's intentions with God a lot. And I've doubted the explanations of God's activity a lot.
Yeah.
I think that by saying I doubted it, it automatically adds that sense of I was frowning on something, right? But we have to be questioning. And there's nothing immoral about doubt. The interesting part is, okay, so what exactly do you doubt and why? That's what's interesting.
Yeah.
And once you realize that all of creation, or all of the randomly put together world, it doesn't matter, fill in your blank here, all of it contains mystery. All of it.
Yeah.
Once you understand that and are comfortable with that, then the questioning becomes more interesting than it does threatening.
Yeah. I get that. Mm-hmm.
Like I know I will never completely understand you. Okay? That does not trouble me.
Yeah.
Right? But I can imagine it troubling somebody.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the issue. And that's the issue for your relationship with God as well.
Yeah.
Right? Now, it's hard to have a relationship being the important word, it's hard to have a relationship with something you're not sure exists, right? Because then the relation-y part is hard. But it's about that, right? It's about that breaking or that tension in relationship, that sense that if you start questioning, then things could fall through and you wouldn't be able to get them back. And, and I think a lot of people are really afraid, actually afraid that if they question something, they're going to lose their faith, their community, their, whatever the things are.
Yeah.
When in my experience, by questioning, not intellectual questioning, but emotional questioning, like, what don't I get about this? Turning to evangelicals, turning to Pentecostals and saying, okay, you have some things I don't have. What is that?
What is that?
Right? Turned me from being very intellectual about God to seeking that relationship.
Yeah.
So I think that the key is that whenever we are sure that we have the right answers, we are going to be threatened by anyone who thinks we don't.
Absolutely, yes. Right.
God is not easily threatened.
Definitely not.
Was that helpful at all? I'm not sure. Have we gotten at the question you were thinking about, or were you thinking about some other things?
No, I think that it really hits on it, because doubt can be an intellectual exercise, sure. But I think the kind of doubt that I'm talking about is more like that nagging feeling that something is not what you think it is.
Okay. Yes.
Or someone is not what you think they are.
Yes.
And I think that kind of nagging feeling, I don't know that I've ever really had that about God. I've certainly had that about pastors and about Christians and about people who, profess to be deeply faithful. But I don't know that I've had that kind of doubt about God. Now, I have questioned, certainly, what does God think of me? God loves me, but what does God think of me? Like, those are different things. It's sort of like, a parent and a child.
Yep.
I love all my kids deeply, but on any given day, what do I think of this child right now?
Yes.
Based on what they just did.
Yes.
So I think I got caught up in some of that and always wanting to be, the good soldier. I think when I finally got to the place where I realized that I couldn't possibly have all the right answers, and that nobody really actually does, even though they say they do maybe, or believe they do maybe, then I started to feel a lot more comfortable asking those questions. And it started to become more of part of the fabric of my faith.
Right.
Through the journey of reconciling faith and sexuality, I really just kind of shook everything down to just sort of a core set of beliefs, and then began building again on top of that, which is what deconstruction, reconstruction, I think, in the best possible sense is.
Yes.
You don't fully throw everything out and start from scratch. You can dither things down to an essential list of things, and it may be 2 things or 3 things. My list was really short, probably 5 things. and then you can start building on top of that. And I can tell you, 20 years later, my list is still pretty short. I think I learned that I didn't have to have answers to all of these theological questions. I only really, for myself, needed to answer a few of those questions in order to be faithful.
Oh, I love that. One of our listeners was talking about doubt about God's existence. And I recommended Merton's Prayer.
Oh, I love Merton's Prayer.
So Merton was a monk at the Abbey of Gethsemane in Kentucky, and he became very famous for traveling as a Cistercian, which is a silent monk, and writing a lot, and very smart fellow. Anyway, his prayer basically says, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm doing what you want me to, but I trust that you trust that I want to do that thing, you know?
Yeah.
And so this particular listener, I suggested to this person that they try Merton's prayer on because they're really not sure whether God existed at all. But that sense of admitting, you know, my intentions are good. I don't know what you want. I don't know if you even exist, but I trust that you believe my intentions are good and that you'll guide me if you do exist and, you know, all of those things. I think that that's part of the way we grapple with doubt of existence and with doubt overall. So, for example, if we had a rift, part of what I would be doing was saying, I really hope you understand that I'm doing my best. And if you'll give me this leap of faith that I'm trying to do my best, you know, like that would be what I would be trying to do. Now, I wouldn't be trying to disprove your existence, right?
Yeah.
But that's a whole different way of thinking. Does that make sense? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's something about saying, I don't know if you exist. I don't know if you're the person you think that I think you are. I don't know any of that. And I trust that if you're the person that I've heard you are, you'll correct me if I need correction. Right? That kind of thing. But if you're certain, there's no faith.
No, that doesn't require faith.
There's just your own ego hanging on as tight as you possibly can.
Right. And in that position, you have to be right all the time. All the time. And I don't want that kind of pressure, personally.
Well, no one is right all the time.
No.
Except me. No, I'm just kidding. I really am. Listeners, I'm laughing as I say this, and so please, I really don't think that at all. In fact, I would love if you have questions or comments or disagreements with something I've said. I would so appreciate hearing from you because you bring me a perspective that I don't already have. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Listeners, let us know what you feel about doubt, what your experiences have been with doubt. CocktailTheology.com is where we are all the time. Till next time. Funny how the view can change, how life just seems to rearrange itself. No matter what it was, I don't know how it goes, but look, moving on feels pretty good. Moving on feels pretty good. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a like and hit subscribe wherever you're listening right now. We welcome your comments, questions, and ideas for conversations and for cocktails. Please get in touch with us at our website, CocktailTheology.com. Cocktail Theology is a production of SFS. Our theme song is Moving On Feels Pretty Good, recorded by yours truly, Benton Stokes. You can find my music wherever you stream your favorite artists. Join us next Thursday for another new episode.